Hey guys, Hector Castillo, Poppy, girlschase.com. Today I want to talk about the 5 best ways to improve your charisma. Charisma is your ability to charm others into investing themselves into you and even being devoted to you. This can be on a simple level of you have a friend who's very loyal to you because of your charisma and because of the way you make him feel, or it could be a woman who just worships you and worships the ground you fucking walk on because of the way that you express yourself. That's charisma. It's a mixture of charm and persuasion. They're kind of all tangential, or no, they all kind of all operate the same area of social skills. So charm and charisma, what these do is they make the person feel like it's worth giving you attention and it's worth giving you their time and their devotion, or if it's a woman or a man, depends on what you're into, their body and their time and their lust and their emotions, their affection. So are you worth giving to? And one of the best ways, my ultimate way that I be charismatic with people is honesty. You can be charismatic without being honest, but I consider this to be the dark magic way. You can fake your emotions around people and fake interest in them in order to make them feel special and be manipulative and Machiavellian and sadistic. This can work in the short term, but usually you get exposed at some point. So it's not a good long-term strategy, to be completely honest. On a purely technical, amoral level, sure, it works. A lot of guys who are great at picking up girls and being charismatic with them, or getting guys to really care about them and give them things and to use them socially and monetarily and professionally. It does work to be Machiavellian and to be manipulative, but on a moral level, there's problems with it, depending on which system of morals you buy into. But strategically, it's not a long-term viable plan, and it usually doesn't work. You usually get exposed at some point. And so honesty, sometimes it is hard to make the truth attractive and charismatic because it isn't always pleasant. But in the long run, once you do know how to market yourself properly and express your honesty in a good, positive way, but also in an attractive and charismatic way, and make the truth seem like it's beautiful, and it is beautiful, but make it seem more appealing than the comfortable lie. For instance, I'm very into philosophy and meditation. And so a lot of people in my life go to me for advice when it comes to figuring out this thing that we're in, this life, whatever it is. And I tend to give them my honest appraisal of how they are dealing with life and how they're moving through life and how they're seeing life. And sometimes that can be really harsh. They could be upset about something and I'm like, you're just throwing a pity party for yourself. Stop bitching. Like, what is it going to solve by you being depressed and sad? And this used to be sometimes not so charismatic when I was younger. There was beauty in the honesty itself, but some people just repelled and resisted it because it was the truth, and it required them to not buy into their delusions as much as they do, and to take responsibility for their life and for their mentality and their enjoyment of life. And so they would often not be too happy with how I was talking. But I learned how to make the truth attractive. I learned how to use it. Yeah, you're going through a shit thing right now, and this advice I'm trying to give you, it's kind of hard to deal with. But if you do it and you do the work, you're going to be more happy in the end. So I made it seem attractive. So I made honesty and truth and transparency attractive. And so that's the next level, is transparency. There's honesty, is telling the truth. But you can market the honesty in a lot of different ways. But transparency, that is like next level shit, and that's what I like to do. So I think of honesty as like, here's a door. I tell you there's a dog behind the door, and it's true. So that's honesty. Transparency is telling them what color the dog is, how many spots it has, how old it is. You give them details about the truth, and also you open the door and just show them what it is that you're thinking. Basically, that's what the metaphor of the dog is, your thoughts and your emotions. You tell them exactly how you feel and exactly what you think is right. And you're always trying to be honest, and you're always trying to tell the truth. And this is extremely charismatic because you don't have to make up lies. You don't have to keep your lies in line. You're always going to feel good. You're going to feel positive about telling the truth. It feels amazing just to constantly let your heart out and to say always what is on your mind. I mean, there's times to be smart about it, don't just be a constant barrage of stream of consciousness, right? There is a such thing as marketing, and that's what this channel is devoted to. But honesty, there's something amazingly charismatic about it because it just lasts. It never goes away. The truth stays. And so it's a long-term good investment. And if you embrace the truth more and honesty more, and you make it a part of how you express yourself to everybody, women, your family, your guy friends, your people, colleagues at work, whatever, you're gonna be much more charismatic. Secondly, you need to be having some balls. When you show that you have balls, when you show that you have courage to go out and do what you want, approach that girl, even though you're a little bit nervous, ask for the raise at work, apply for that job that maybe you don't have a chance at getting, but maybe you could get it, and that's your dream to have that job. That colleague at work's being a dick. You have the balls to be like, hey, excuse me, I don't really like this behavior. Your girlfriend isn't treating you well, and you have the balls to say, hey, I'm not enjoying the way you're treating me right now. Please fix it or we're done. That's what balls are. Ambition, vision, courage. You're actually doing something. When you show people that you have balls, you're very charismatic because as a man, they expect you to be a leader. Ideally, they want you to be a very dominant, positive, but dominant leader. And they want to see that charisma, as I defined it earlier, right? If they're going to be devoted to you and they're going to be giving their time and affection to you, they need to know that you're willing to do the hard thing. And sometimes that's telling the truth. Being honest is a very, very good sign of big balls. And if you're not afraid to go after what you want in life and to have the courage to fly in the face of dissent and of shame and of fear and of ridicule, that's very, very, very powerful. And when they see that you have that ability, they're going to know that their devotion to you and their affection for you and the time that they give you is worth it, because it's a good investment, and that you're actually going somewhere with what they're giving to you, because people want to feel like they're investing in good people, in good situations. And when they feel that way, they feel good about their life, and it makes them happier, which makes them even more devoted to you and more interested in you and like you more and want to be around you more. So it makes you vastly, vastly more charismatic. Next, I want you to be dynamic. Being honest is great. Being dragged down by a heavy set of balls everywhere that you walk, that's awesome. But you gotta have some layers to you. I know some people who can be charismatic in the front because they're very funny. I know some guys for instance, they're just like, when you first meet them, they're just a ball of charisma. Like, you just love being around them. They're so persuasive, they're so fun. But then you hang out with them 2, 3, 4 times, and then you go, oh, that's all they have. They're like a one-trick pony. They're really good at cracking those jokes and being kind of like, teasing you and roasting you, and it makes them feel like really confident. They're really good at that. But then you hang out with them more and you're like, oh, that's all you do is criticize things and all you do is make jokes. Like, you're obviously compensating, or you're trying to hide from something, and you're just a one-trick pony. But when you go beneath the surface and you go beneath your sense of humor and your apparent confidence, you find that really you have nothing else. And so if you're a dynamic individual and you have different layers to you and different versions of yourself that are all true, but you can be super outgoing and charismatic in this instance, and sometimes you can just shut up and listen. But that's charismatic because you're doing what's appropriate at the time. You know how to sit there and pay attention. You're okay with being by yourself. Some of these people who are really charismatic, they're shit when they're alone because they don't have a stage to perform on. But when you have someone who is able to be alone and who likes to spend time alone and read books, or focus on their ambitions, or if they know how to dance and you didn't know that they know how to dance, and they have or they play an instrument, or you thought they were just a frat boy, fuck boy, but he actually reads philosophy and he actually knows things about life. He isn't just this one-dimensional fuck boy. There's layers to this person, and when a person has layers, it's kind of like finding out that imagine you have this Instagram model who's like super hot, and you see her and you're like, yeah, I bet she's just like a dumb, like superficial bitch. And then let's say you somehow meet her and you find out that she was an engineer or something. Like, there's something about her, you're like, what? And that makes them vastly cooler, because again, you know that this is a good person to invest in, invest your time and your emotions, your affection, because they're going somewhere. So if you have balls and you're honest, but also you have that depth to you, you have that multi-varied performance that a person enjoys when they're around you. That is super, super attractive. And that's what makes your honesty and your balls be attractive in the long term, because there's always something new to learn about you, because you're an infinitely deep person. So become more dynamic, become more interested in things, learn more things, explore the world, become curious. You're gonna have to, if you just like to do one thing, you just like to play basketball, and that's the extent of your personality, it's fine, right? But you need to be world class at that, right? That needs to be your life, but that's okay. But I would highly suggest, if you want to be more charismatic in general, you need to become more deep, more varied, and more dynamic of a person. Now, take those tips, work them on your own. But also what I want you to do, tip number 4, is you need to be spending time around other charismatic individuals and watching them. It could be people on YouTube, someone that you find charismatic. And how you know someone is charismatic is you're just drawn to them. If you're drawn to them, if it's a hot girl, it's probably just because she has nice tits or a nice ass. And if you're seeing these people who make you feel drawn to them, like you just enjoy watching videos of them or you enjoy spending time with them, that means they're charismatic. Spend time around them, spend time with them if you can, and absorb it. That's what I do. That's what I did. I would just spend time with people. I'm like, oh, I like that. I like that way that you respond to this, or I like that facial expression that you make, or I like the way that you talk. I like the way that you tell stories. And I just kind of grab and take and take and take and take and take. And then I give back as well. But what I do is I create this amalgamation of who I want to be based on all these little things I've taken from everyone else, and then I make it unique, and it turns into Poppy. So spend time around charismatic people, watch them, analyze them, learn from them, and give them value back too, because that's going to make them continue to give value to you. But then eventually, when you spend time around enough charismatic people, it's going to be transferred. Socialization is just a transfer of value. And so the more time you spend around high value people who are charismatic, the quicker and more charismatic you will become soon, because you are training, essentially. Spending time around charismatic people is kind of like being in a hyperbolic time chamber for charisma training. You could manufacture it yourself, but it's so much easier to just learn it from someone else and then replicate it and then make it your own. The last tip for being a more charismatic individual is to lift people up. You want to be ultimately abiding by the second highest principle in the universe, the law of compensation, the law of exchange. You need to be giving value, and you're going to be getting value back, because even if you do have the natural charisma of just the way that you express yourself, your voice and your mannerisms, right? Because that's where it's going to be taking place. It's going to be taking place on the 5 senses of them watching how you talk and how you act. And maybe at first you have the visual and auditory charisma to persuade people to do things for you and be around you and like you and give you validation, whatever. But if you don't have any substance to it, people are quickly going to find that you actually don't provide anything to their life, and that you don't provide that much. Yeah, you're fun to be around, you crack jokes, but when it really comes down to brass tacks, you're never doing anything for them, and you're never providing them value, and they're never being a positive experience. Because what you notice with charismatic individuals who don't have goodwill, and these tend to be sociopaths or people with certain antisocial behaviors, they are going to be fun to be around, but you're going to feel like, oh, this person is not actually doing anything for me. He's not actually providing a positive experience for me. It seems like a fun experience, but it's not positive, because you're going to get this feeling that being around them is fun, but it feels like you're losing and you're not getting anything in return. And so when you find yourself in that situation, you're going to understand how it feels for someone else to be around you if you're not positive. And so one of the most toxic behaviors you could ever have, and the most unappealing behaviors that you can see, is someone who's negative, and someone who's always bringing people around, bringing other people down. And so I know some people who are charismatic, but they tend to be a little bit more on the negative side, because charismatic doesn't always mean positive. I would prefer to spend time around people who are providing good emotions to me. I mean, of course, they tell me the truth when it's hard, right? Like I talked about in the first example with honesty. But it's most of the time, negativity is just toxic, and it's not born from a place of, I don't know, deep sadness that, has some philosophical value. Like, they're just negative people dragging you down, and they're not fun to be around, and you'd rather just not be around them and slowly that feeling of is gonna get big, and then they're gonna stop spending time with you if you are that person. And so the way that you stop doing this shit is stop telling jokes that pull people down. You can tease your friends, but be smart with it. Don't be annoying with it. Don't just constantly shit on people. That's something that I encountered in my fraternity in college. We had a culture of roasting each other. But it was born mostly of just, well, we're not doing anything worth our life. All we do is drink and party, and we don't even get laid because most of them sucked with women. And that's all we have. And so we're just gonna shit on each other for the most minute, mundane reasons. You know, if you don't know this one random fact about this thing, you're just fucking dumbass and you're worthless. And it came off as fun, and you had to defend yourself, or you're gonna be seen as weak. But there was a certain point where I realized, oh, this is just toxic. Like, me not wanting to be around it is not me being a pussy. I'm just like fed up with this environment because all of you are unambitious losers. And I'm not friends with most of the people in my fraternity. Some of the people from there are very close friends of mine, but for the most part, they're just toxic fucking losers. And they might even see this video and you guys can go fuck yourselves because I'm here and you're there, so suck my dick. It was just so negative and so toxic, and I can see that the people they hang out with are also low value. And it's just like they're all like sucking each other's dicks with like motor oil and like barbed wire fucking condoms. And it's just like, why are you in such a shitty situation? But hey, that's what they like to do. But it's not charismatic because these people are not charismatic. They're not doing shit. They're fucking losers. And so don't be that. Don't be a loser. Stop being negative. Stop telling jokes that bring other people down. Try to add value to people's lives. Try to make their experience around you more fun, more entertaining. Try and see if you can help them with their career. When it comes to a girl, try and fuck her really good and make her feel good, give her attention, and that's gonna make her feel happy to be around you and feel like, again, investing in you emotionally and physically and temporally with her time is worth it, because you are charismatic, and that charisma comes from a place of goodwill, of honesty, and from a person who has a big fucking sack of balls, who is willing to go forth and become the person that he wants to become, but also wants to bring you with him. That's true charisma, that's true persuasion, that's true charm, and that's the way that you become a more charismatic individual. Okay, cool. Hector Castillo, Poppy, girlchase.com. Follow me on social media. Check out my King of College book in the description. Check out One Date in the description. We also have a free 7-day mini course in the description. We got lots of shit for you. Check it all below. Bye.